Joe, I'm going to quote you for months now. Freaks, weirdos, and insurrectionists. You've been advising Democrats talking about Republicans. This is who they are. This is what they're doing. And the president effectively was saying that yesterday.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. Someday in the not-too-distant future, people will certainly look upon August 31st, 2022, and say that was the moment when everything just turned around for the Democrats. At least you might believe that if you watch Morning Joe.
Last night was Joe Biden and the Democratic Party off their heels for the first time, I think, since 2020. This is
a turning point.
This is a turning point.
Joe, I'm going to quote you for months now. Freaks, weirdos, and insurrectionists. You've been advising Democrats talking about Republicans. This is who they are. This is what they're doing. And the president effectively was saying that yesterday in different terms, perhaps. But that's what he was saying.
Yes, because nothing unifies the country like name-calling people that you don't like.
Part of what they're trying to do here at the White House is boost his standing among Democrats overall. Part of the reason his numbers have slipped so much is because his numbers slipped with Democrats. And so if he can bring those back up, our battleground tracker shows this as well, then his numbers overall improve.
So I guess there's nothing leftists like more than hurling insults. And the media is always ready to unquestionably do the heavy lifting for them. I mean, I heard Republicans like things like secure borders, don't they? Well, PBS, the state media, informs us that having lines that define where a country is, well, that's just basically fascism.
You talk about globalization versus nationalism as well. And you say that today there are more borders in the world than ever before in human history. So do you think that this idea of nationalism and ultra-nationalism that is spreading across much of the West for certain and some of the East, do you think that is one of the reasons why we're seeing these borders?
We're done now. This is what our nation is. This is what the space we occupy is. And the rise of nationalism, or the new rise of nationalism, if you like, and to some extent that veering towards fascism, is often connected to these lines.
Countries with border lines, bunch of fascists, or maybe...
I'm going to say something. It's like semi-fascism. That's a quote.
Ah, yes. The media assures us calling Republicans fascist is unifying.
I'm not saying that everybody's a fascist.
If you go to the
Listen, hang on. I'm not even saying, I don't think it was the best thing for him to use that language. But you have to call a thing a thing. You have to call it what it is. You can't, that is unifying.
Especially for the left, to unify and call pro-life Republicans Nazis and Bolsheviks.
A very radical and extreme Republican Party mirror what we have seen in other places like Nazi Germany, like other places like the Bolsheviks. We have seen this playbook before. We have seen a ruling party try to use things like propaganda, try to silence the free press, try to restrict what women can do. We have seen this playbook before, and it always ends disastrously for the majority of people that are subjected to that. That's what the warning signs are that we're seeing from the president right now. He is ringing the bell that we need to check in, pay attention.
Can't think of a better guy to get us to check in and be aware.
If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
So aware. There's something I wasn't aware of this week until I watched MSNBC is the recent rise in car crash deaths in the U.S. over the last 2 years. Now, this is due, well, to what else? This is MSNBC. It's due to racism.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we look at that graphic, I mean, when you look at just the disproportionate number of African Americans that die, I mean, 8.21 per 100,000 compared to whites at 6.33. I mean, how can this be helped?
Wait, what about those Asians? And those Hispanics are doing almost as well as whites. I mean, if racism is to blame, I'm just not sure. Why the recent spike in traffic deaths again?
The interstate highway system essentially was built out through black and brown neighborhoods around the country in the 50s and 60s. And these kind of race-based, if not racist decisions often put high-speed, wide roads through black and brown communities.
So those racist decisions in the 50s and 60s are now responsible for the recent surge in car crashes over the last 2 years.
And as a matter of fact, 2021 data is showing things are getting worse.
Interesting segment. It's especially interesting that if you remember last year, the spike in car crash deaths was due to angry parents attending school board meetings.
38,680 deaths on U.S. roads last year, the most fatalities since 2007. And that's even with pandemic precautions drastically reducing the number of drivers on the road. So what gives? Well, some experts are saying that this is due to an overall lack of civility in our society, a lack of civility that we have seen in school board meetings.
Yeah, if those parents would have just let their kids be indoctrinated without complaint, clearly those racist roads from the 50s wouldn't have risen up and caused a spike in traffic deaths over the past 2 years. I mean, I can't possibly think of anything that would have caused a spike and anger people in the last 2 years, like a leftist media spewing hateful rhetoric.
Fascist, 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 fascist.
Or political leaders vilifying half a nation that disagrees with them.
In my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people.
Couldn't possibly be that.
Now, the White House insists this speech last night was not political.
Of course not. That would be something they would certainly not see. I'm Eric Scheiner for MRC-TV, asking you to visit the MRC Store and purchase some great gear. Also, check out MRCTV.org for the latest information, culture, and videos. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos on the platforms where you see them. We'll be back next week with more leftist media madness.